Tell me about your first day in America. What was like the culture shock for you, if any?
I was really surprised about, like, the suburbs, because a lot of what we saw in media was, like, the cities and the skyscrapers. So, I remember driving home from the airport and, like, the absence of color, like, both in buildings and houses, but also the absence of, like, liveliness outside. Like, there were no people out, it's concrete and grass, period, right? And from Ethiopia, from the African context, we come from, like, if you go outside your house, like, you can talk to 10 people, like, by your door, right? And some neighborhoods are much more lively than others. But you go outside, somebody's like washing a blanket, these kids are playing soccer, somebody's going to church, right? Like, the entire community's outside, because they're with each other. So I just remember driving home and it was just so empty. It was just so empty and gray, and every house looked the same. Like, even that, I come from the city where every single, like, door is designed different. The houses are, some houses made with, like, stone, some houses made with mud, something is like two-story. Like, everybody's house is super unique. There's, yeah, insane variety with everything. So it's that, like, just like how plain things were visually. Um, like, I was less excited, I think, getting here first day.
So when you talked about the lack of liveliness, that really struck me after a couple months in the US. I looked around me and I asked myself, where are the kids? Because in Africa, growing up in Nigeria, there would always be a field where kids would gather almost every day of the week to play football. There would be noise in the community. They would play football. There was life, like you said, but that lack of liveliness really hit me. And then it makes me wonder why. Is it the insecurity? But then if you're talking about insecurity, is it worse back home? Because I mean, see what's happening in the news right now. I don't know if you're following, but there's a lot happening in Nigeria with kids in northern part of the country are being abducted. Like, things are crazy. But I know that it's a different climate, north from south. And I mostly lived in the south, lived in the northern part of Nigeria, Adamawa State, for just 1 year, but in the South where I grew up, I saw that liveliness. And I'm thinking it feels like it should be a safer community, a safer space. There's all the street cameras and things like that. And the community has a sense of responsibility where when they see something happening, they call 911, they call the police. But why are the kids not playing outside? Another thing that really shocked me was back in Nigeria, you could talk to anybody on the street. First of
Mm.
all, if I'm walking on the road and there's an elderly person carrying something heavy, part of my home training is to offer them assistant. I'm like, I offer like, oh, do you want me to help you carry that? Or you see somebody who's older than you, you have to say hi to them and not just hi, hello, which I think people are adapting to more now. You say, good morning, sir. Blame it on the British colonization. I know you can't relate. Anyway, do you know why it is this way?
I mean, a lot of, like, mass production, right? A lot of mass production. And I think for the most part, things tend to come of, like, top down, right? It's like something happens at the top, like a top of an organization or a government, and then everybody else is, like, on the receiving end. It just comes down to that instead of, like, communities, like, starting from people themselves, right? So we talk about, like, like, kids playing soccer. Was it like a very, like, any neighborhood you go into in Addis, the city I'm from, some kids are playing soccer, right? So even, like, people organizing to do sports, it came from, like, just people that lived on that street and that block would just, like, get together and play soccer, right? Um, but now here it would be like, oh, this organization is doing this thing, and there are all these chapters in your city where you can go play soccer, right? So it's sort of like it's starting from somewhere and coming down to people instead of starting from people themselves. So even, like, with the building houses and stuff, it's just like companies and contractors are like, this is what this is gonna look like, and that's it. And it's gonna look like this. It's the most efficient. That's a lot of it, right? It's like efficiency. And it's like, for the sake of efficiency, we're just losing, um like really good things.